What is up, fantasy endgame community? Here to talk fantasy baseball once again. I'm Pierre. Now, we're about a quarter of the way through the season. I think it's a good time to assess the trade market in fantasy and see who might be some good buy low candidates. So let's look at number one. Now, I was asked the other day by Fantasy Pros, you might know them, and always putting out these publications every week or so, asking the experts who they think are some good pickups, some good trade candidates. And so I was asked, who is somebody who you are buying low right now and what would you want? So the first name that popped to mind for me was Justin Turner of the Dodgers. Not the most exciting name there. You have a guy who is really up there, probably nearing retirement the next couple of years. Some people thought he might hang it up last year. Now, it is down in every category, his StatCast, his numbers across the board. He's only hitting .203, and usually a guy who's known for his batting average, if anything else, a career .278 hitter, somebody who we know is consistent. He hadn't hit below that mark for the past 5 years in a row. He's somebody who has been producing in a great lineup. There's really no reason to question except for his age. Is it catching up with him? Is this the year finally that Justin Turner starts to decline? It would seem so, but you know what? He's had some bad luck in terms of batted ball outcomes, but also this is a guy we know has that track record of also being streaky. He's had times, if you remember 2018, had a terrible first half, and then all of a sudden turned it on and was on fire the second half. He's also done the opposite, where he lights it up in the first half and then declines, and that's kind of what happened last year. He had a slow second half, so some people worry that's carrying over. Look, he's got no lingering injuries. He's got no other reason other than maybe he's just having a slow start. I think he'll be fine. Look, maybe we won't see vintage Turner, maybe not guaranteeing a batting average over 300, but one thing that is good and will always be good is he's going to drive in runs. Even despite the low batting average, he's got 29 RBIs. He's kind of up there among the league leaders in RBIs despite barely getting base hits. That's pretty good. He'll be a solid source of that. He'll give you probably 20 home runs by year's end. Should be fine there. So I think this is a great time to really get him for nothing because a lot of people will think that he's turned to dust. This is a time that you can scoop Justin Turner for basically nothing. So throw out a lowball offer, see what you can get for him. Now, an entire offense that's kind of underachieving, underperforming is the Toronto Blue Jays, expected to be one of the best, if not the best, offenses in the majors, and there have been several disappointments. I'm going to go a little farther down, go with Teoscar Hernandez. He's a guy who's definitely struggled. Look, he was on the IL for a while with an oblique strain, and just hasn't been good since coming back. He wasn't really doing that well beforehand, but now he's even doing worse. So you've got to wonder, is it still bothering him? Is it just a disruption in his routine? What it is, has he affected his swing? Have to dig deeper into that, but whatever the case is, he's actively hurting your team. He's hitting 152. The power hasn't been there either. He's a guy who also offers speed. Last year, he hit 296 with 32 home runs and 116 RBIs, a career year for him. One thing you should know, that the injury he had was an oblique strain. He did have that exact same thing 2 years ago, 2020, and after returning, he did just fine. He had a great, short, but great 2020 season. And so I think we should feel confident he can come back from it unless we hear something about it nagging him. So this is a great chance to buy low on a guy who's still pretty much in his prime, in one of the best lineups you can imagine. I think that whole offense will come around. So Teoscar is somebody I would definitely be seeking in a trade. Let's go with another Blue Jay. This time in the pitching side, Jose Berrios, somebody who has been rock solid as it gets. 5 straight years, an ERA under 4, basically every season other than his rookie season. And he has been, the mark of consistency. Going to Toronto last year, a lot of people thought that might be a time where he might kind of come back to earth because going to AL East, a lot tougher. Maybe the change in team might affect him. It didn't. He was great, had probably his best season last year. So what's happening in 2022? I don't know, but a guy who now in age 27 should have his best year, and it's just all falling apart. Every single metric you could imagine, he's near the bottom of the league. It's been miserable for him. He's below the 10th percentile in basically every expected stat. He's got a 326 expected batting average against. Not good at all. And his expected ERA is an evil 6.66. You might want to try buying low because you got to think there's a way he turns it around. There is no reason for this to happen. Maybe just a really slow start. He's starting to pick it up a little bit lately. The last couple of starts have been better. You think this is a pitcher who has a track record of consistency. You've got a great pitching coach there in Toronto, a guy who turned Robbie Ray's career around. And, all told, the park factor and the competition in the division haven't been a problem for him. So you've got to think that he does turn around. He's a great buy low candidate because out of the what you would consider ace, or at the very least a top 20 solid starting pitchers, he's the one that you could go out and get for a discount right now. So I'm going to actively try to get Berrios and hope that things just get better. When we talk about underachievers, I look at the discrepancy between actual numbers and expected numbers. So let's talk about Marcell Ozuna, a guy who's definitely underachieving on his batting average, only hitting 235, but that is 41 points below his expected BA of 276. Now, he is still providing power, and that's the good thing. He's got 8 home runs, which these days, at this point of the year, it's actually kind of a lot because, the dead ball or whatever's going on, power is down. He's giving you power. That whole Braves offense, really, the first week or two looked like they're going to just keep rolling, and all of a sudden, Matt Olson got cold. Ozzy Albies has kind of been disappointing lately, and Marcell Ozuna also. Not sure what's going on there, but you got to think this is too talented of a squad not to produce at a high level. So I think all these guys eventually will turn it around. You're probably not going to get Olsen or Albies, at this point for a discount. So I would say Ozuna is the guy that you should go after. Look, his hard hit stats have been really good. He's still got power. He should be fresh after last year getting a rest. So I'd say go after him. I think his average will go up. His run production will go up. Everything will point towards a guy who should be a stud top 3 outfielder in your fantasy lineup for sure. You can talk about the biggest underachievers. I think there's no bigger underachiever in terms of batting average than Ryan Mountcastle of the Orioles. So there's a lot of concern about the Orioles in terms of their power output because that left field fence got moved way back, and it has been affecting some guys. Not him so much, and not because, he's had these balls that have just missed. He's just not really hitting as many fly balls. But what he's doing instead, it's interesting, is he's hitting a ton of line drives. He's got a 33% line drive rate. That's really good, and line drives typically fall in for hits. But his aren't. For some reason, look, his XBA is 97th percentile. He should be among the league leaders, hitting 331, but he's not. He's hitting, 252 today, I think? So that's going to turn around. Or here's the other thing that could happen. If he changes his launch angle and he starts hitting more fly balls, he might start hitting more balls out of the yard. Okay, so I got to think that, at some point, if that does happen and he pulls the ball more, he'll have some of these warning track outs and he'll have some fly ball outs, but it's going to even out with regression in terms of his batting average. He should go up, hit about 280, 290, I would say, and his power should also go up a little bit. So what I'm saying is he's going to get better statistically, and this is the time to buy. A lot of people disappointed, thought that, now after having one full season, which was a really good season where he hit 33 home runs, and this whole Orioles offense may be looking a little better, that he would take a step forward. He hasn't. But this is a time to swoop in. Look, this Orioles offense, the team in general, is kind of got a shot in the arm now with Adley Rutschman there, kind of injecting some life into their offense. He's going to help them. They've got the talent. Honestly, they've got good young talent. It just needs to come together. So we'll see if that happens. But Mountcastle, a guy, I think at the very least, you could plug in at first base, and you get him for probably not too much these days because his stats are a little underwhelming. And then last but not least, can't forget my boy Nelson Cruz. Look, he's an oldie, but he's still a goodie. His numbers are down, and the same thing I said with Justin Turner at the top. People are just going to think he's dust. He's done for. Finally, the guy, his age has caught up with him. The ageless wonder, after 40 years old. Can he keep mashing the ball? Yes, he can. His max exit velocity is still up there with the league leaders. He's a guy who's hitting the ball hard. He's having some bad luck, all right? It happens. It's still kind of a small sample, relatively speaking. Again, a quarter of the way through the season. It's a long season left to go, all right? He's 45 points under his XBA, 170 points under his expected slugging, all right? He should be hitting the ball much better than he is. His contract rate is actually really good. His whiff rate is down, so it's not something about his plate discipline. He's not striking out more. He's still hitting the ball just as hard as ever. just needs things to even out, and I think they will. Now, the downside with Cruz, of course, he only fits at DH. All right, so you don't want to give up too much. That's why he doesn't get drafted as high as he should ever, because people don't want to clog up that util spot. Why not? If you get a guy who can hit 40 home runs, yeah, I'll take that every time. Now, he might not get there this year. Being in the National League maybe is just a little weird for him. He hasn't seen a lot of these pitchers, the first time around. But as he gets more comfortable seeing these same divisional foes, being in the same ballparks, that's going to help too, right? Familiarity, being in that lineup, which hasn't actually done too bad. Guys like Josh Bell have been doing pretty well this year. So I think that he'll be fine. Nelson Cruz, a lot of people probably ready to give up on him. Don't. Go ahead and throw out an offer for him and see if you can get him on the cheap. Those are some of the players I'm trying to buy low right now in fantasy baseball. Go ahead and check your league and be active. Make some offers. Try to make some moves. Now is the time to be proactive. Don't wait till you fall in the standings. It's always better to be ahead of the game. That's what we're trying to help you do. All right, if you got some questions, join us on Discord. By the way, we had a fantasy baseball channel there, and we're always active year-round. And don't forget to catch our waiver wire videos every single week. All right, guys, thanks for watching.